Good morning, Theo. How are you this morning?
I'm
It's
fine, very fine. I'm just very unhappy. Well, but here's my problem.
there we go. There we go. Keep going.
uh,
Keep going.
I told students yesterday that I am deeply concerned about my happiness. I am worried, and they say, "Why are you worried about your happiness?" I said, "I am concerned that I'm going to be too happy, and this worries me greatly." You, c-
Well,
but
it's
but can
Tuesday morning,
but but
Theo.
but can you?
And,
Is it possible
yep.
to be too happy? The students argued. So that was. I'm ready for life. I'm ready for living. I'm ready for
There
every
we
day
go.
that comes. So
Okay, we are trundling along.
yep.
And just don't get trounced.
No.
I can tackle you, but it being Tuesday, we'll be talking.
Good. Let's
First
keep it to
day
there.
of October. And good morning, listeners. Welcome to you
Well,
to the
you are.
Fish Factor.
October definitely is gone. You're gonna have to switch to November. For those of you
Maybe
listening
5th
in,
of
my brother
November.
Terry is on the bright side of 60. We get to the place where we don't know where we
Okay.
are, but
1st
uh,
of November. Yep. Used to be Guy
it
Fawkes, eh?
used to be Guy Fawkes. I don't know. Is it
Yeah.
still celebrated?
So nope.
No.
I think I'm the guy this morning. Capetonians will know what that means. Guy.
Okay.
Okay. Well, let us land the plane here, Theo, and we're
Count me
going to
in.
continue in Colossians chapter 2. We're looking at verse 20 of the storyline, 20 to 23. And this morning we are going to look at what walking in wisdom's way looks like. Walking in wisdom's way. We are followers of the way that is Christ. Listen what Lewis Carroll says in a poem that he writes for kids. Rules and Regulations is the title. A short direction to avoid dejection by variations in occupations and prolongation of relaxation and combinations of recreations and disputation on the state of the nation. In adaptation to your station by invitations to friends and relations, by evitation of amputation, by permutation in conversation and deep reflection, you'll avoid dejection. And he goes on line by line by line like that, with imperatives, with commands, with instructions of do this and do this and do this. The last couple of lines, interesting. It says, lose not a button, refuse cold mutton, starve your canaries, believe in fairies. If you are able, don't have a stable with many mangers, be rude to strangers. And the moral of these lines in this poem entitled Rules and Regulations, the moral, he says, is behave, behave. Now, we will laugh our heads off as we read through a poem like this, but it actually isn't funny. Because often we conduct our lives like that, according to rules and regulations, and we lose our smile. And the proposition this morning is quite simple. The main idea in these couple of verses is that wisdom does not bend to rules, but provides for honesty. Wisdom does not bend to rules, but provides for honesty. And let's see how the text unfolds this idea. Because the question behind the text is, what do rules and regulations produce? Why do rules and regulations produce stale and sterile living? Stale and sterile living. The person has lost their smile. They've got a long coffee pot face. And that's why a youngster walking with his dad walked past a donkey, and the kid said, Dad, is that a Christian? Kid is associating the long donkey's face, the long face of the donkey, and equating that with a Christian. Well, what a sad comparison. And yet we have so many who go around who've lost their smile. Their lives are stale and sterile. because it's about permissions and prohibitions. But this morning, verse 20 to verse 22 is quite a killer, because the challenge in 20 to 22 is this: question the foundation for sticking to rules. Question the foundation. Don't be scared to fire the questions, because in firing the questions, you give people opportunities to respond. You give yourself time to think and time to respond. What is happening here? So question the foundation for why you do things and why you do it the way you do. Now, of course, Rudyard Kipling is the one who talks us through a very fun way of the three working men. And he talks about his six great friends, his good friends. And they are the six interrogatives in the English language: who, what, why, where, when, and how. So to become a questioning, curious, inquiring individual. Because that's what life and living is about. We are in exploratory mode. We are on a journey of discovery. Well, some of us come across like we found it all and we got it and no one else has got it. And our lives portray that. We are given to dogmatics. And someone has said, we have become bulldogmatic. So it's bulldogmatics versus curiosity, inquiry, exploratory mode. It's a very interesting and exciting mode versus a bulldogmatic mode. It reminds me of the comics that we used to read as kids. Theo, I don't know if you were familiar with Asterix and
Oh,
Obelix.
absolutely.
And they were the two Gauls, of course. The one had the Gaul to beat everybody up, and the other one had to drink a potion, in order to kind of be throwing the enemy over his back, kind of thing. And of course, they had a dog, and the dog's name was Dogmatix. Okay. And every person in that Gallic family, sort of their names ended with IX, as in Asterix and Obelix and Dogmatix, and so on and so on. And we kind of have labels pasted on our forehead that people can sort of decipher, because, we come across very moralistic. Remember, I'm not saying we mustn't have morals. Moralistic. I'm better than you because I do this and do this, and I don't do this and I don't do that. I don't drink, don't smoke, don't chew, and don't run with those who do. So, an inquiring mind is a person who's given to asking questions. And as we said, there are only six interrogatives, but they morph into incalculable numbers of questions that can be asked. Right? The why question refers to an abstraction. An answer to a question of why always refers to an abstraction. An answer to a question of how refers to an instruction. Isn't that interesting? Instruction, how to do this, how to do that. And then to answer a question of who, it always refers to that which is subjective. It refers to a person. A question that answers what refers to that which is objective. And so we need to learn the genius of asking questions and to decompose questions, not to throw them into a trash can and see them rot, but learn to take a question apart. When you hear the question, take a deep breath, right? Don't be like Peter, the disciple of Jesus. He suffered from what we call foot and mouth disease because he always ended up with his foot in his mouth, right? A foot shaped mouth. But learn to decompose questions. What is this question asking? Who's asking it? And take the question apart, right? Use your scalpel and take the question apart. Decompose the question into simpler parts and then go at trying to answer it. But even before you try to answer the questions, understand that God has given us 2 ears, 2 eyes, and 1 mouth. And we need to function in the proportionality of the numerosity of those senses. 2 eyes, 2 ears, 1 mouth. Look twice as hard, listen twice as carefully, but speak just with 1 mouth. Speak once. We reverse all of that, don't we? Don't listen, don't observe, and look carefully, but we froth at the mouth. We have verbal diarrhea. Well, watch the questions in this verse. If you have died, if you be dead with Christ from the ABCs of the beginner's world, why, as though living in the world, are you subject to ordinances such as don't do this, don't touch, don't taste, don't handle, which all are to perish with the using, after the commandments and doctrines of men? People will put strictures on you like you wouldn't believe, right? And we are so given to be part of the in group that we perform according to their standards. And we tend to have the subliminal question: tell me what I must do, how I must perform in order to be accepted. Well, the text goes on into verse number 23, because verse 23 carries the idea that we need to concede that failure of sticking to rules prevents keeping the flesh in check. Rules cannot keep the flesh in check, and rules will fail to keep our flesh in check. They will prevent indulgence of the flesh. They do not have capacity to stop us from following our passions. They are but rules. There's no internal alarm and deterrent internally to stop me from doing a particular thing. And so to understand this morning that we need to learn how to question things, question the foundation for sticking to rules that you have adopted, could be part of your ideology. And then concede that failure of sticking to rules is what prevents indulgence of the flesh. You stick to rules, there's no checks, no balances. They aren't internal, they are external checks, but there's no internal check on you. And when you are given to following rules, Theo, I was thinking the past couple of hours of uh, playing one of those waltzes. Let's listen to the Viennese waltz, and I want you to think about it, Theo, and then I'll fire a question. A couple of
You
seconds.
have to think about a waltz. Okie dokie.
That's Tchaikovsky at his best, right? The Waltz of the Flowers.
Yeah.
Now, as you listen to that, Theo, in one word, could you describe in one word, one descriptor
Mm.
of what you felt when you listened to those couple of seconds of that
Uh,
waltz?
Floating. I feel floating. Yeah, floating.
Floating.
Mm.
Okay, not flow as in unconscious, the
No,
Afrikaans word for
I got something
floating.
underneath me for sure. I want to be.
Okay,
Yeah,
floating.
yeah.
And what thought crossed your mind as you listened? You've given me one descriptor.
Yeah.
Now, what thought crossed your mind as you were listening?
Um.
You felt like floating.
Yeah, but the I more sort of um, gracious movement, um, sense of
Yes. Grace.
sense of
Yeah.
precision and wonder.
There we go. Thought of wonder.
My mother will be very proud.
Awestruck.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Awestruck wonder.
Yeah, I would
Right?
say. Yeah.
Would be a singular word.
Yeah.
Because you see, we can make a decision. We can live our life in a narrow corridor where we've got all the prescriptions in place, all the rules, all the do's and the don'ts. And that's like living life in a narrow corridor versus living life on a ballroom floor where there is flow, floating, and wonder, awestruck wonder. So see, I wonder what do you choose? A narrow corridor or a ballroom floor? Just
Yeah, well, if it's a Friday night and it's a dark corridor, keep me away from that. But maybe in this jest there is maybe some truth here that it does depend, in a way, on the circumstance one find yourself in. But if I had to prefer, I'm not a good dancer, but I think if I was great, I would. I mean, the ballroom, floor, to be there and to be part of that movement of grace and flair and the, the openness of it. That's appealing to
okay.
me. Yeah,
Okay.
corridor is very enclosed, sort of restrictive, if you wish.
Constricting as well.
Mm.
Yeah. And that's what I'd like to leave with the listeners. There's a thought. Because rules have a way of doing that. They constrict. Now, they are given for, as we say, our protection and our provision. But this giving ourselves to just purely life is about do's and don'ts kills the joy of living. Where is that freedom? Freedom to think, freedom to be. Where's the creative element? It's like the game we used to play. Simple Simon Says. And each time I preface the instruction by Simple Simon Says, people will do what I'm doing. And then I leave out Simple Simon Says and I give them an instruction and they are still doing, right, what I'm doing. And so this morning, as we sign out, I want to leave those two images with our listeners. Are you given to living your life in a narrow, constricted corridor, or would you rather be given to living life on a ballroom floor? And we will continue this discussion as we progress through the text. Back to you, Theo.
Great. Thank you so very, very much. Thank you for those of you who joined us this morning on the Fifth Connection. That's located at fifthfactor.co.za, www.fifthfactor.co.za. It's been a long while that we've done this. We've just looked at this journey. So we've got something like over 50 episodes already. So thank you for joining us on this incredibly meaningful journey. Terry, thank you.
Thank you, Theo. Thank you, listeners.
I wish
Have
you
a good morning.
Terribly wonderful Tuesday. May your ballroom aspirations come true. And may the corridors not squeeze you into doing that which brings sorrow, because they seem to always do that. All of the best for everyone. God bless you on this wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Tuesday. Bye, Terry. Thank you.
Bye, Theo.
There's a way that seems alright sometimes, but the end can be addressed a lie in disguise. Had my share of bad choices, broken dreams, disappointments. Through it all, the makings of a man. As I look back on my life story, and I see where your love has brought